Hi, welcome to today's episode of Easy Cooking with Evelyn. Today we're going to make polenta with spring veggies, I guess you could say. So what you'll need is a pan, a pot, a whisk to whisk up the corn, a sieve, a spatula, obviously a measuring cup, spatula, and a liquid measuring cup, and the spring lock baking pan. So we have our veggie broth that, remember, we made from our first episode. So we're using that today. We have a teaspoon each of salt and fennel. We have about 2 tablespoons each of thyme, marjoram, and sage from the garden. We have about 2/3 cup of cornmeal, 1 can of cannellini beans, and that is about 2.5 cups, 2 cups, a cup and a half. I want to say if you're making from scratch, use about 2 cups, it'll be fine. And here I have about 4 cups of greens from the garden, and we've got we have collards, dandelion, and kale. Our chard is still a little small. We also have asparagus from the garden. Scallion, not from the garden, but once you plant these little things, you'll just have them forever. And some garlic scapes that I got at our local farmer's market this weekend, which I'm really excited about. And if you don't have garlic scapes, you can easily substitute garlic. I have 2 here, so 2 cloves of garlic. If you want more garlic, you're more than welcome to use all the garlic you want. So let's start cooking. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make our polenta. So we're going to take our sieve, we're going to take our whisk, and we're going to take our tablespoon measure, because what we're going to do is we're going to bring the broth to a boil and then lower the heat. While we're waiting for this to boil, we want to add the fennel and the salt. You know, salt is flavor, so you want to add a little bit of salt to everything. And that's just, like I said, it's a teaspoon. So now we just wait for it to boil. So we've come to a boil. We've got a good boil here. Right, so now I'm going to lower the heat. And the fun shall begin. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the cornmeal 1 tablespoon at a time until we get the right thick consistency. And basically, what I like about this sieve is that it's not too small, so the corn just kind of goes right through. The reason I like using this sieve is because it kind of spreads it out, so it's not going to be as clumpy. So it's kind of like a battle of the wills or something here. But it's actually not that bad, and the beauty of it is that this will probably all cook up in like about 5 minutes. So, you gotta give it a good whisk. Good whisk because you want to have it smooth. You don't want any clumps. You want to keep it in a nice uniform. So that's where doing this at the same time helps you avoid all those clumps. And you want to get the edges as well. Give it a good, you're going to get your workout while you're doing this because your arm is going the whole time. And, it's great for a date because you can have one person doing this and then the other person whisking while you're going. So it's a nice, fun thing to do together. So, you have that together time. You can see what they're made of. You can tell if they know how to whisk. How they deal under pressure. Because, it's very high pressure here. This polenta is like very high pressure. So if you want to come take a look, we're starting to get a thicker consistency. And I mean, you can use water. If you're going to use water instead of the broth, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be yellow, more yellow, not this brownie color. But we just keep going. We're starting. This is now the point where you want to start paying attention because you want to get to the point where that's nice and thick. So you're starting to see I'm almost at the point where I can scrape and the pot is clean on the bottom. Here, I'll show you. You see how like there's some spots where you can almost get to the bottom of the pot. So we'll just keep going, just a little bit more. So that's why I don't go too crazy measuring the polenta to a cup or, you know, exactly. Because I'm just adding until it's the right consistency. So I think I'm getting close to that consistency now. This is looking pretty good. So I think I'll do 1 more tablespoon. And then I think I'm finished making the polenta. And obviously if you want to make more, you know, if you want to make a bigger batch, you're more than welcome to. So you see this? And actually, you can just serve it like this if you want to, you know, like a mashed potatoes type dish. It's really yummy that way too. So now I'm going to do a little taste, just to make sure. Salt is good. Now I'm going to add a little cracked pepper in here. Shut off the heat. And you can add, I mean, I happen to add the fennel, the salt, and the pepper, but you can really add any kind of spices that you like. You know, think of it as a blank slate. So let's incorporate that in. So now I'm going to grab a paper towel to grease my pan. And this is where you might have been wondering why that springboard pan, where did that come from? Why are we using that? So basically the polenta is going to go in there, and I'm going to use grapeseed oil. No taste, no flavor. You can use olive oil if you like. To grease it, it depends. You know, that's what you're looking for. You can use whatever. You can use coconut oil. You can pretty much use whatever you want to grease the pan. So this is actually a non-stick, so I don't need to use too much. I just like to use it just in case. I haven't tried it without it, and I figure, well, might as well try. Okay. So, we're going to take our spatula and bring this down. Get everything there. Now you want to spread it. So what I like to do is actually let it kind of cool off naturally outside, not outside, you know, cool off in the sense room temp, and then put it in the fridge, because you don't want to put anything too hot in the refrigerator, because then that's going to bring your fridge temps down, or raise your fridge temp rather, and you don't want that. That's not cool. Food safety stuff. So we have this here, and now I like to set, it takes about 3-4 hours to set. I like to set it overnight, so, you know, if you're doing it on a date night, it's going to be a really good date if they get to eat the polenta the next day. So we'll just put this to the side. Our polenta's setting. what we're going to do is we're going to make our veggies. So first, let's just chop up the herbs. And you might be wondering why she's using that tiny knife. I just like it. I have little hands. See? Little knife. So just do like a rough chop, you know. Don't have to be perfect. It could be rustic. You know, that's one of my favorite excuses to be lazy. And this is easy cooking, so we're not trying to make anything too complicated here. Just go maybe 2-3 times. And there's a big piece of sage there. And again, just like with the spices that we put into the cornmeal, you can do whatever herbs you like. You know, you could do a nice trifecta of oregano, rosemary, and basil. That actually would probably be really good. So, you know, it's whatever you want to do. I unfortunately, my basil is still a little small, so I haven't been able to cook with it yet, as is my rosemary and my oregano. So my marjoram, sage, and thyme are pretty well established, so that was why I chose these veggies. But honestly, that's the beauty of these dishes. It's all a blank slate. So next we'll do the asparagus. Same thing, just a rough chop. Now you may notice, maybe wondering what these little parts are. Our asparagus only brings up a couple spears every week or so. So we have a couple that we've actually let grow larger to keep it going. So these are actually the ends from those fronds, and these are very tender and they're very delicious actually. So I use those as well when I'm doing any kind of asparagus dish. And the variety that we have is giant, so I mean, this is kind of a small one. They actually can be pretty big. So maybe 2 or 3 spears could be enough because they are so large. Same thing, rough cut, nothing fancy, you know. I'm sure those knife pros are probably having a heart attack right now because of my knife skills today, but honestly, this is to make it really easy. I mean, think about it. The polenta takes a while to cook, but making it took all of about 5 minutes. So we save these because we put them in water and you get scallions. You start growing within a day or 2. It's pretty amazing. So same thing. This scallion has maybe seen better days, but that's okay. So the whites I'm going to put with the asparagus because those are a little harder, take a little longer to cook. And then the greens I'm going to put with the herbs, just to keep it a little fresher. Because the herbs are going to go towards the end with the greens to kind of keep them in a nice shape. Now see, this is getting a little funky, so I'm not going to use that. But I will continue up to the top, or as far as this one goes, until it also starts getting a little funky. We don't really want that. This is actually a great brunch dish because, you know, if you're not having any eggs, you still kind of get that feeling. So these are the garlic scapes. These are all the rage now in farmers markets. They're pretty good actually. They taste just like garlic. It's like a combination between a scallion and garlic. Now I'm just chopping off those little tips because they seem a little funky. Same thing here. And then I will just cut this as well, just like we did the scallion. And this I'm also going to be putting in my first to cook bowl. So the things I'm putting in this bowl will be the things that go into the pan first. And we're just going to do a saute, nice and simple. So it's just going to take a few minutes, you know, until it softens up a little. What I don't have, which would actually have been really nice, is fresh cherry tomatoes. I love putting fresh cherry tomatoes in the pan to saute them because they release some liquid, and that essentially gives you a little bit more of a sauce. So that's always really nice too. So we're just going to finish cutting these real quick. And the greens will go in last, just so that they stay nice and bright green. And same thing, you can use, if you have spinach, you can use that escarole, white beet, and garlic would be fantastic as well. You know, a little white wine or something you can do. It's always really nice to have that blank slate and then work around it with the veggies that you have on hand or that you want. You know, today I'm working with what I have on hand. Because I'm lazy, I didn't go shopping yesterday. All I did was figure out what I was going to use. So here we have the first pot bowl, and then here, I'm not going to go crazy chopping these. I'm just going to give them a little rough cut. And yes, these are the dandelions that grow weeds in your garden. They're really yummy. You know, they're healthy. They have a lot of minerals, vitamins. They're good for you. And they're free. You can't beat free. So actually, the ones in the garden, I don't pull. So I have a lot of dandelion because we cut them and we use them in our dishes. And it's nice because, you know, sometimes you don't always have time to go out and get greens. So now we're going to cook all of these. So I forgot to mention earlier, we are going to be using oil. I have grapeseed oil here for heating and then extra virgin for to kind of give it a little extra punch after we've cooked. So I'm measuring. I usually don't, but I'll measure for you guys. And I'm going to do, wow, a full tablespoon is perfect. So we're going to heat this up. I like to cook at medium heat. Grapeseed oil is actually a high heat oil, so you can go higher, has a high smoke point, which is one of the reasons I like to use it. What happens is if you cook, that's why you can't cook with extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil has a very low cook point, and so basically the oil gets denatured. And then you're just ruining a very expensive extra virgin olive oil if you happen to have bought one. Coconut oil also has a high smoke point. I believe avocado oil also has a high smoke point. Interesting taste to it too. It can be very yummy. So now we're just going to wait for this oil to heat up a little. And basically we're going to saute the veggies and then throw the beans in to warm them up. Then we're going to use this pan again to finish up our polenta to heat it back up. So let's see. I like to do a little testing. To see if it's hot enough. And that's just going to take a second. You want to put into the pan the things that will take the longest to cook or the hardest items. For instance, if we had carrots, they would be going in the cook first bowl as well. Broccoli, I like to separate the florets from the stems because I'll chop up the stems, put those in the cook first batch, and then put the florets with the greens so that they only cook for a couple minutes. You want them to just get that bright green color, which is, you know, really nice. And you're losing a little bit of the vitamins with the heat because the vitamins do get lost in heat. However, you're helping your minerals become more bioavailable because the heat actually helps the cells break, and so you're getting more minerals. So there's that trade-off. You have them raw for the vitamins, and you have them cooked for the minerals. So we're going to throw in, so again, this is the asparagus, the whites of the scallion, and the garlic scapes. And if you don't have any scallions, just use onions. Go crazy. You know, it's not a big deal. So these will just cook until they get soft. So it's going to be a few minutes. smells good. It's nice to have the fragrant herbs. And like I said, again, it's on a medium heat. You know, you don't need to go crazy with high heat. Basically, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just grab one. It still has a little bit of crunch, but it's soft. So I'm going to throw in my herbs. Give them a good toss around. You can just, the fragrance of the fresh herbs is just amazing. And if you're using dry, I would say go to like 1 to 2 teaspoons of each dry herb. And then add, you know, taste it and add more as you're tasting, because it's always easier to add more than to take out. If I ever teach you anything, that's like the one thing you should learn. And now these greens, we'll just cook them until they get a little wilty, bright green. You know, bright green is your key. If your veggies, your greens are looking a little drab, olivey, you probably overcooked them. But you know, just enough to coat them. Yeah, see, bigger pan maybe. But you see they cook down pretty quickly. That huge bowl seemed like a lot, but now we just cook it down. So that's a nice consistency, because what I want to do now is add the beans to warm them through. And then I drained the beans, but I didn't go crazy draining them because I wanted to keep some of the liquid to give it a sauciness. And this is really just to heat them through. You know, if I had a little white wine, I'd pour that in right now too, because that would be really nice. And then, like I said earlier, the half cherry tomatoes in here would just look really beautiful too. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a little salt and a little pepper. And then I'm going to transfer this to a bowl, because now we're going to make we're going to heat up our polenta. And now that it's off the heat, I'm going to also put a little extra virgin. Drizzle some extra virgin olive oil in here. And that will give it a really lovely saucy taste. Very saucy. Okay, so now this is the fun part. So we have, this is a polenta. I made this last night and I set it, so it's ready to go today. So as you can see, it's got a nice foamy consistency. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it into quarters, because this is a meal. If you want to do it as an appetizer, you can definitely cut it into eighths, and that would also be a nice appetizer. So now I'm going to give this a quick little rinse, just to get some of the bean stuff off. So let me just you crazy. And I know I'm using a lot of paper towels today, which I generally don't like to use. But it's okay. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use grapeseed oil. A tablespoon. Oh, I think there was water in there. About a tablespoon of grapeseed oil. And we're going to heat this again. Hopefully it'll heat up a little quicker. So that way, since the pan is already warm, and I want to get the oil nice and coating everything because you don't want the polenta to stick. You can also bake the polenta. I would say, you know, about 350, anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes depending on how thick you made it. And that would be really nice. If you're adventurous, you can grill it as well. I'm afraid to grill it because I have no luck with things staying. So things sometimes fall apart in the grill pan. And I didn't want that to happen today, so that's why I'm using a pan. But you're more than welcome to try grilling it in a grill pan. I would say probably use a lot of oil on the grill pan to make sure that you can really scoop it up. And so that's why we need the spatula. And let's just cut this a little better. It's pretty interesting, the consistency that you get here. It's very interesting. Let's see. Yeah, my usual test to see when to put something in the oil. I put a little something in, and once it starts bubbling, then that tells me it's ready to go. This isn't. Oh, it's ready to go. So now I'm gonna just slide this on. I think I might try to make 2 at a time. Well, maybe not. This is pretty big. Yeah, so for those of you that are looking to reduce your oil, you know, you might want to bake it. It's pretty easy. It's the same thing. You just, so you would have your spring pan. So since it would already be in a baking dish, all you have to do is just stick that right in the oven. You know, if I had a larger pan, I would definitely have put more pieces in. But I didn't want to risk not having. So you can see it's frying up nicely. And that's just 1 tablespoon of oil. When you think that this is going to make 4 servings, it's really, you're only using a quarter tablespoon per person. And I probably, for the entire meal, we probably used a total of maybe 2.5, 3 tablespoons of oil. And again, it's for 4 people. So not incredibly terrible on the fat. And so there we go. I might even lower it a little. So see, using a larger pan, it broke up a little. Well, using a larger pan might have actually helped avoid that. But. Okay, so I have my plate. And And then I'm going to grab my second one. And then I'm just going to keep going until I have all 4 of these cooked. So while this second one is cooking, I'm going to plate the first one so that you don't have to watch me cook all 4, but you get an idea of what we're going after. So you have your polenta here. Nice, unfortunately a little broken polenta. And then you're going to have your greens. Now tell me that doesn't look like a nice, easy lunch. Not too expensive. We used food from the garden. We used canned. Cornmeal is not expensive. And there you have it. You have your polenta with your spring veggies and some cannellini. Enjoy. So here's a piece that didn't break and has a nice sear going for it. So, you know, this is ideally what you would like it to look like. So, there you go.
You okay there?
You gotta get like the action in.
You can't say it. It's gotta be like, what the hell?
And then the beans. It looks like Mars. The Mars rover. Okay, so while this one's cooking, I'm going to plate this one.